It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. Yes, that can mean only one thing. It is indeed time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the show once again. And if you are joining it live and you're entering the chat and everything else, watching it as it premieres on YouTube, then thank you doubly so, because I find it really, really exciting to see how many people are waiting, how many people are watching, and I do enjoy the chat, even though sadly I had to miss it last week. But thank you very much for all chatting amongst yourselves. But come on, it's the Saturday Show. What's up first? Ooh. Yep, it is TumbleWeed by Brent, Braun and Andy Glass, or Glass, perhaps. I'm not sure how they say it in America, and even depends where you live in this country. This is a multi-phased, very visual packet trick where you show that you have 4 jokers, and then with a simple turn one of them goes face down. You then do another simple turn and another one turns over, another turn, and 3 turn over, and finally all 4 have turned over, and then they all turn back again. It is quite eye-popping because it looks so clean, and that's what I really, really like about it. There's almost nothing to be caught doing apart from telling a bit of a porky pie. The whole thing is pretty much, or 3/4 of it at least, is based on a fib. They call it a big lie. I'd call it just a little bit of a fib. It's kind of a half-truth. So when you're saying it, it makes complete and utter sense, even though what you're saying has happened hasn't happened. It's really hard to explain, but it blew me away, so much so that by watching the explanation, I had to go back and rewatch the performance several times to realise, oh yes, that is exactly what's happening. I was completely fooled by it. So there's no moves to 3/4 of it. You are literally saying what you are doing, which is just simply the turning the cards over. It's absolutely genius. There is, of course, you may have noticed, an Elmsley count thrown in there. Again, you really do need to learn Alex Elmsley's ghost count if you're going to do pretty much any packet trick. What you get in here, basically, well, I could show you. What can I show you? I don't want to give away too much. Well, you get 3 bicycle jokers, the black and white jokers, and you get a gaff card. The gaff card isn't going to fall apart. It's not going to blow your mind either. In fact, you probably have all of the 4 cards that you require already in your possession. And there could be an argument that perhaps this could simply be a download, and they're really just providing you with the physical cards in some way to create a product, a physical product. I don't think that's the case here. I think it's really, really nice just to receive something. You got everything you need to go with it. You don't have to start cannibalizing other decks of cards or rooting in drawers for that gaff that you can't find, all of that stuff. And what you receive in the way of teaching and the trick itself is really, really good. The tutorial is split into 3 videos. The first one is them sort of talking about the effect and the main method, which is the fib. And that's a really, really fun conversation between Brent and Andy as they talk about all of the things you could do with this very popular gaff, how they were playing around with it, and how they suddenly realised that although it's discrepant, it's also copacetic. Is that the word that Andy uses? But it still looks right. That's what the point is. It looks correct, even though it's not. It's discrepant. And when that ties in with what you say, I think everyone watching will just completely agree with you that that is exactly what has occurred, and that the cards have all turned over. I think it's really, really clever use of a very, very popular common gaff that I've never seen before. I'm kind of blown away with it. And it's a nice routine. It does have multi-phases. I think when they show it, it all seems a little bit on the same tempo. I would vary the tempo, maybe entice your audience in to try and catch you, and so on, because it is that clean that it doesn't really matter. There is the second video is them actually teaching it rather than just talking about it, and then there's a bonus routine as well where you can do it with a selected card, shall we say. And I think the selected card routine, I forget what they call it now, is brilliant because it does bring it to a nice close, less of a showy off thing of what you can do with cards, and brings it nice climax to the trick. So I would probably go with that one. You will need a little bit of something to make your gaff with that, but you've probably got it at home or you can easily obtain it. I'm not sure I've ever said this before, but this is going straight into my wallet. There is just so many lovely, baffling visual moments. It's so much fun to do. You'll fool yourself doing it. So if you can lie to yourself, you know, it's great. And also the cards, if they get worn out, if they get battered, it doesn't matter. You can lose them. It's absolutely fine. The setup is so easy. The cards are readily available. There's just nothing to worry about. I just think it's a really, really good, smart, so much magic from one gaff. Yes, it is just 4 simple cards, but I think Tumbleweed is an absolute bargain at £17.50p. Next up is Misled Pen by Timothy Wenk, with an E. So this is a re-release of Timothy Wenk's Misled Pen. Yes, the idea is that you show that you have a banknote and you have a pen. You put a fold in the banknote and you can thrust the pen straight through the middle of it and then rip the pen out, down, and the banknote is completely fine. You can then fold it into a sort of V shape, put the pen between the folds and slowly melt it out through the crease, and once again the banknote and the pen are intact. It is Misled 2.0. Really, the original Misled was done with pencil, which is why it's called Misled and why this isn't called Misinked even. And the gimmick is exactly the same. It is an improvement really, because actually the pencil, if you snap the pencil or anything happened to that pencil, finding the right, I can't remember what they're called, gold something or other pencil to match the gimmick was a little bit of a chore. Certainly in this country, it might have been easier in the States. And this way you just get a straightforward black pen that isn't going to snap or anything like that. It is, let me get it out, it looks like a standard black pen, quite a cheap one in fact, that you'd probably find in a bank attached to a big chain with a brick at the end of it. It's got a nice white nib, and that is really nice. That contrast between that white nib and the pen really does make a difference. You don't really use the cap at all, but if you did want to end clean with this, the cap you can use as a good justification to go and get the cap, to recap the pen, to sneak the gimmick and ditch the gimmick. So in theory you could probably start with a little bit of work. This isn't taught in the tutorial, by the way. Clean and end clean if necessary. And then you get a gimmick in here that I'm not going to show. If you are familiar with the original, it is virtually the same, apart from it matches the pen and not the pencil. And probably the big worry is, what notes can you do this with? Well, you can do it with anything that you can fold. So I have been successfully doing it with a £10 note. I tried a £5 note. £5 notes were a bit small for the second phase, and the £20 note was a bit big for the second phase. Only when you fold it into the V shape, it sort of covers too much of the pen, or you have to sort of fold it very wide. So I think a £10 note is probably the best size, but because you can get that fold in it, you're absolutely fine. And then you just do it this way for the second one. So you're absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be a banknote of course. If you are struggling with it, then you can just use a piece of paper, rip a piece of paper off a notepad. Anything like that will work. I'm not sure a napkin or anything else would be might be too flimsy to do it with. I will say, actually, with the polymer notes, I reckon a paper note or a piece of paper note does make it slightly easier, slightly less fiddly. I think the way the edges and things of how a polymer note handles, it's probably not as easy as with a paper note, but it is certainly possible, and I've been having a lot of fun creating the effect in front of the mirror. It is really visual. It does have angle issues, of course. No one can see what you're doing behind. That is basically the golden rule, and it's very easy to do. It's more of a knack. It's getting a little bit used to the gimmick, and it's trying to smooth it out so you're not faffing about too much at the important moments. The tutorial is by Eric Tate. Actually, it's not. It's by Nick Lecapo, but I've misplaced my Nick Lecapo wig, unfortunately. I think I was out wearing it on Friday night to cover up my thinning pate, and I've mislaid it somewhere. So, and Nick runs through everything multiple times so clearly. He explains the gimmick to start off with, then he runs through the whole routine, explains the first phase, explains the second phase, runs through some alternative handlings. I mean, I think the tutorial is almost half an hour long, and then at the end you have some live performances as well. And watch exactly how Nick handles it. He does, and listen to what he says, because he does impart some really good tips as well, and it'll just help you smooth it all out. It's a really terrific pen through banknote. It's very visual. You can do it slowly. Perfect for social media, but also ideal for close-up, provided you've got no one standing behind you. That is Misled Pen by Timothy Wenk, $24.99. Next up, it is Needle Through Coin by Nathan Kranzo and TCC Magic. Yes, TCC are spreading their wings and collaborating with ever more people, and Nathan Kranzo seems to be the latest. This is a neat little effect where you have a $50 signed by your participant. You sign the other side. You then wrap it up in some tin foil. You grab a needle with some thread on it. You poke it straight through the coin, pull it out the other side, unwrap the tin foil, and you can hand the coin out to be inspected or even give away as a souvenir. I think penetration effects like this are always really strong, particularly if you've had the object inspected and signed before you pass it through, and then you can hand it out. I think that just makes it really smart. And with a lot of the penetration effects, things such as Hollywood and Industrial Revelation, you're sort of doing the penetration effect, but they don't know there's a penetration going on. It just seems a bit odd that you're passing, managing to get something for a piece of cardboard, and the revelation comes only at the end, and it's quite hard to get your audience engaged in that sometimes. And with this way, they're engaged straight away. They've signed the coin, they kind of see it being wrapped in tin foil, they know it's there, they can feel it's there, and then you poke the needle through. In fact, they can hold it whilst you poke the needle through. It's a smart little bit of thinking, really, because what you get in this box does help you with the effect. It just makes it that little bit cleaner. You could probably do it with much less stuff in a way, or smaller stuff, but these are some stickers that you get. You get the thread as well. This is just to kick you off. You don't need to be using this thread, this color thread, this type of thread. If you want to do the gypsy thread afterwards, or any trick like that, or a cut and restored string, you can use that, provided your needle fits the thread and so on. You get the needle as well, nice and sharp, and you get the spool as well. So you have to sort of thread this thread onto the spool, and the spool holds a little secret, and that is what makes it as clean as it looks. Apart from having to know how to use this a little bit, there's more action. There is a switch involved, obviously, but it's all really, really well motivated stuff. So you've got a lot of misdirection going on with the coin being signed, and then the unwrapping of the foil and things like that. And everything is really motivated with grabbing the pen back, picking up the foil and things like that. So there's lots of reasons why the coin might change hands or whatever you're doing. And don't overthink any of the moves. They are what I would call action moves. So, you know, you can call them sleights if you want, but you're really just miming what you're doing. You do have to provide your own $half though. So the gimmick is a $half. You will need to provide your own $half. They say that it needs to be later than 2019, I believe. I will provide a suitable $half. If you buy it from Monster, I'll throw it in, but I wouldn't worry too much about date. If you've got some $half, you just need one that is the sort of same level as polished and shininess as this one. So if you've got one that's more tarnished, it will show up as being switched, but if it looks pretty new, then it will match this gimmick and you'll get away with it. No one is really checking the dates when they're signing that coin. The teaching is as good as you'd expect from TCC. It is dubbed, but they've got this habit now of just filming from sort of chest down. So it's sort of hands and the actions, and you don't get to see the mouth moving out of sync. So it doesn't feel actually like it's dubbed at all. And yeah, they run through everything, what you get, the setup, how to perform it. Obviously, when he first performs, it is without misdirection as well, which is really quite handy if you want to see when he's doing stuff and so on. So, you know, an experienced magician will see what's going on from that demonstration and really understand the timing of it. It's a lovely little trick. I will say, are you going to give away the $half? That is a nice touch. I kind of see where they're going with that. But do you really want to be giving away a $half every time you perform this trick? I'm not so sure. You can remove the pen, obviously, if you get some brasso out or some other polish. It will come off. You can buff them up quite nicely, and in fact, even if you've got some old tarnished coins, you can probably buff them up to match the shininess of this one. But that does mean if you're going to be performing this walk around multiple times in a night, you are going to have a bunch of $half rattling around in your pocket. But otherwise, pocket space and easy to carry is quite handy. Obviously, when this has got thread in it, you can just stick the needle onto the thread. That's all you need. You can carry around some of the tin foil. So you do get some tin foil as well. You get lots of tin foil sheets. Should have mentioned that earlier. And you're good to go. So it's a nice self-contained trick. And that is Needle Through Coin by TCC Nathan Kranzo, $25.99. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was at school and the weather was nice, we used to beg our teacher if we could have the lesson outside. And I don't know where we ever got the idea from, because I'm pretty certain we never got that chance. But you know what? Right now, I am the adult. Yes, sirree, this is more like it. And next up, we have TNT by Nicholas Lawrence and Theory 11. TNT is quite a popular effect, actually, but it stands for Tear No Tear. In this version, it's all done with playing cards. You have your participant choose a card, and they hold that card, and you say you're going to take away their strength. They try and tear the card in half, and they simply can't. You take it back, and you can simply rip it in half. You then give them one of those halves, so they're going to give you your strength back, and clearly they can rip it in half. They then give them back another half and say they're going to take it away again, and they can't rip it. You then take that half back, you rip it up into quarters. You then say, I'm going to give you superhuman strength. You give them the 4 quarters, and they can tear them all in half in one go. It is a really, really novel, quirky style effect that I don't think your participants will have seen before. The idea of taking away someone's strength is phenomenally strong, but also just the idea when you see them trying to rip the playing card and they can't, they're completely flummoxed by it. And then when you can take it back and you can rip it in half, it defies explanation in most people's minds. And to be able to do that in a multi-phase routine as well, with these clever gimmicks with no switches involved, there's literally no sleight of hand at all. Let me show you what you get first of all, because that's going to be quite important. So you get a set of red monarchs. The reason for that is that the gaffs are in red monarchs, and here they are. They're here. It is a whole deck of cards. It is 52, but it is not every single card. So you've only got 4 different values in here. That's what the backs look like. These backs are subtly marked, not for the value, just so you know how to orientate the cards. And this deck actually can turn into a 4-way forcing deck as well. If you want to keep it so completely sleight free, you can actually force the card with this and then read their minds. So at the start of the routine, a card is chosen. Now you can do that by adding one of these gimmicks to your monarchs, or simply just using the whole deck of these as you wish. It depends on whether you want to show all of the faces as being normal first of all. That card is selected. You know what it is. Obviously if you're doing it this way you need to force it. If you're doing it with the whole deck, the deck does it for you, and you can then read their minds and tell them what the value of their card is. And then you go into the whole strength premise, and these cards just do everything. The tutorial is 15 minutes long, and it starts with the very basic move, which is simply, or the very basic method really, which is simply how you orientate these cards. A little bit about the spectators' audience management, I would say, obviously, because you want them tearing these cards in the right place. So there are certain places where they can't tear it, there are places where you can, and that is all you need to do. It's pure choreography, and the strength of it lies really in how you present it. You can present it as if you want them to think of something positive and then they are strong, something negative and then they're weak. And at the end of the tutorial they also give you a couple of bonus ideas. One by Rand Pink is to actually have them think of someone, a mentor or a hero, so they can write that on their signed card. That gets lost in the deck, that gets put away. You then just bring out another card, and only when they think of their hero, that you can freely name at this point, will they be able to tear the cards. And another alternative is to write on these cards in certain other ways, by Pete Turner. The thing is, there's just nothing to it. You are just playing and having fun and just watching people either not be able to tear it at your command or being able to tear it. Absolute genius. And the fact that you can combine it with your card tricks as well. Obviously you've got a standard set of monarchs here. You can have 4 of these gaffs hidden in the deck as you go. You can do all of your card tricks pretty much. If you want to locate one of these gaffs in here, there is a property which means they're very easy to locate, so you can control the card easily if you wish, or always have that card to the top if you're going to force it, and so on. They really have thought of just about everything. It is simply I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's really good fun. It's very confusing for people watching, not to mention the poor person you have trying to tear the card when you can't. And then the fact that they can actually tear it at other times, it's just really powerful stuff. The more you put a hook on it, the more you embellish it, that is entirely up to you. But I think even at its raw bones, it's a super trick. And you can do it at the end of a card trick or before a card trick. You can really mix it in with your set very easily. That is TNT by Nicholas Lawrence, $39.99.
This show is awful, terrible, disgusting. See you next week, of course.
And sadly, that is it for this week's show. But as you can see, the sun is out. So come on, let's grab some magic, go out there and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.